Hey guys, gals and non-binary pals, it is Matt, and today I'm here to record a review for the book Master Assassins by Robert V.S. Reddick. Now this book was just like a sneaky killer. Like, much like its title, this was a book that just kind of snuck up on me, that my enjoyment of it just kind of snuck up on me. I got, like, I don't know, maybe a third, halfway through the book, and I was like, I feel like not that much has happened. But then when I finished the book, I realized, like, holy shit, I actually really enjoyed this. And so I wanted to review it for you guys and get some people into reading it because I feel like it's probably very underrated. I don't think I've really heard anyone talk about it. So this book I originally got years ago when it first came out, and I read the first 2 chapters maybe, and just never got into it. But then I just decided to give it another try recently, and I'm so glad I did because it was fantastic, and it's perfect timing because book 2 comes out, I think, in a couple months in the summer. So I'm super excited for that. So a bit about this book. This book takes place on a continent called Uroth, and we're following 2 brothers. No. The story is about 2 brothers, but we are only following one of them. His name is Kandri, and he and his brother Mektu, his kind of like crazy brother, are basically religious zealot soldiers. This woman in their society has kind of risen to prominence as being a prophet. She built herself an army and just started devouring all of the territory around her, converting everybody and just spreading out, kind of like the Panion Doman. And so this is an army of religious fanatics. Some of them don't believe, but a lot of them really do. And so we are following these 2 brothers, and an inciting incident happens. Their brother does something bad. And because of that, the 2 of them have to flee the prophet and her people. And that's essentially what the book is about. We follow them on their escape. They have this plan to cross a canyon/desert, get to the other side of it, and then cross the Great Desert to get away from the prophet and her people, because that's the only direction that she can't really march her army across. And so that's the plan, and that's what we are following them on. So the writing style of this book was super easy to get into. I actually, right before reading this, found out about a book by the same author called The Red Wolf Conspiracy, and I picked that up, and I did enjoy it a lot at first. If you're looking for a, piratey, I guess they're not pirates, but if you're looking for a naval ship-based fantasy, that would be a good place to start. The Red Wolf Conspiracy was very good, but I feel like I'm not sure when it was published, but I feel like it was written a long time ago. Well, long time ago, because it felt kind of classic and just kind of old and stagnant in the way it was written. And the further I got into it, the more fantastical it kind of got, to the point where I felt like I was kind of reading a children's book. His Dark Materials, the first book, is great. The second 2 kind of go off the rails. And that's what I felt with the Red Wolf Conspiracy. And so I was a little hesitant to pick up Master Assassins, but I'm super glad I did because the writing style is drastically different. And this was just super simple. I really didn't have any issue with the writing whatsoever. So, characters. The characters in this book are actually really great and super fascinating, a lot of them. Kandri he's whatever. He's interesting enough on his own. We get to see kind of his backstory, him and his brother's childhood, and so that was interesting to see kind of how he got to where he is. But then Mektu is the crazy brother. Mektu is this guy who swears that he's haunted by something called a yatra. It's like a soul stealer, mythical creature. Imagine being haunted by a banshee. That's what he's kind of going through. And he believes this wholeheartedly with all his soul. He's also kind of erratic sometimes. He can be a bit conniving. He blurts things out that he shouldn't. Turns out he's a pathological liar. And I like him a lot. I think he's fantastic. He was super, super interesting. He was kind of part of the driving force that really got me into the book, honestly. Along with that, on their escape, they do meet some other characters. They have a kind of family friend who they travel with, and they collect a couple more people along their journey. And I liked all of these characters too. I particularly liked the uncle because the uncle knew something. Kanji and Mektu's dad was a kind of a mysterious man. He died / disappeared. He was a builder, or not a builder. He was like an engineer / mechanic, but he did that in secret because that's not like legal or accepted. And so he just had a lot of secrets. And so the uncle was kind of our key to getting some information about that. And then there are 2 women, and I love Talopeke. I think she's fabulous. A little bit crazy sometimes, but she's fabulous. Anyway, the world building. The world building in this book interested me because this was not your typical Eurocentric fantasy. I recently made a video about a book that I read called Son of the Black Sword by Larry Correa. I read those 3 books back to back to back and absolutely loved them. And if you're familiar with that series, the worlds kind of feel similar. These feel Middle Eastern / Northeast African inspired. Everything from like the names, the locations, the clothing, the food, it all felt very that area. And so that was something that was refreshing because I'm kind of tired of, the standard. And so along with that, there were a lot of interesting, like, little tidbits sprinkled in there. Like, there's something that has to do with the prophet called the White Child that nobody really knows much about, but it's terrifying. And then the world building, I mentioned the Yatra that Mektu swears he's haunted by. That was super interesting to me, that whole section. Along with that, there are these, what are they called? Zava syndromes, I think. And they are this kind of order of healers that have come to Urath. They are super, super secular. They only really stick to themselves. They build compounds, and then they treat people with their miraculous medical abilities compared to the rest of the world, really. So these Avacindrans, they came from overseas, and they've just kind of set up shop all around Urath. And there's something super interesting going on with them, too. And so there was just a lot to love in terms of the world building in this book, and I cannot wait for Sidewinder to come out. I think it comes out in July. I tried to get an arc, but it said it's no longer available, which sucks because it was available like 3 weeks ago. So I'm sad about that. And coming to the plot. The plot is where this book might suffer depending on what kind of reader you are. For me, I do enjoy plot-based books. I also enjoy character-based books. I don't have a particular preference anymore. And so I can be fine with either. I mean, I just read A Little Life. That book has literally no plot, but I loved it and gave it 5 stars. So this was a book where there is no plot really other than these people need to escape, and this is how they're going to do it. And that's what we follow them on. And so, like I said, I was a third or halfway into the book, and I was like, I feel like not that much has happened. And then as I kept getting closer to the end, I felt kind of nervous because I felt like enough hadn't happened in order for there to be a satisfying conclusion. but boy was I wrong. The conclusion kind of blew my mind. It was incredible. And that's why I'm so stoked for book 2. But if you're someone who really enjoys a super fast-paced, plot-based book, this might not be the book for you, but I would honestly still give it a try because it's really, really cool, and I think that you can definitely get into it. Because personally, I found myself just kind of being carried along and not realizing for the majority of the time, but then I'd come to some points and be like, oh, wait, more should have happened by now. But then I got to the end, and like I said, this book was kind of a silent, sneaky killer, because I finished the book and I was like, oh my god, this is 4.5, 5 stars. It's so good. Which was a big difference from when I first picked up the book and couldn't get past chapter 2. So I'm super glad that I gave it another try. I hope that you guys do too. And that's all I have for you guys today. Bye.